Good morning, everybody. This is Terry with Gateway 2 Counseling. Welcome to the Ask Terry Show. Today, we're going to be talking about the recent floods. Let me just first of all say that I pray that you and your families came out okay. My family and I are fine. We had no problems. I had a little problem with one of my rental properties, but we were able to solve it without any difficulties, like within the next day. So I pray that you guys came out all right. I wanted to talk about the anxiety that is created by such a major event. First of all, guys, like, it's normal, right, to get really anxious and to start to panic even in such a situation. I saw all kinds of postings on Facebook of various events that occurred, from, water being at your door, like maybe up a foot, 2 feet above, especially in the Beaumont area, which I have a lot of family out that way, and yes, they all did very well. But I know so many friends whose family members did not do well. And when you see the water rising, like, you're anxious, right? I remember during Hurricane Harvey, I live in a home that's pretty raised up, and we have a creek and we have a lake. And I remember waking up at 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning with a flashlight and my galoshes on, going outside in the backyard, looking at that lake and looking at that creek to see how high they had gotten. I know that I still had another 16 feet before it could reach my door, but still, I had never seen it come up before. And last Thursday, as I was approaching my home, I was able to get through all the water without any problems. I really didn't have any flood waters where I was. I just had minor delays. And so it took me an hour for a trip that normally would have taken 35 minutes. So that wasn't bad for me. I know people who stayed where I was. I was at a training event, and they stayed, and they ended up not being able to leave until 9:30 at night. I left around 3, and I'm so grateful that I did, because I didn't have any anxiety even going home. I knew what I needed to do. But it's a normal reaction to have anxiety over something so major of an event in our lives, right? I know someone who home flooded 3 times, and every time it rained a little bit in between, she was very, very anxious. And she realized after the third one that she could not go through the anxiety anymore. And so she sold her home. And she came out really well with that. Now, I thought about the people who bought her home 2 years ago, or maybe a year and a half ago. I don't know if they flooded again. I need to look at that. They are overall for that bayou area off of Braeswood, right? And that area floods all the time. And so, when I think about anxiety, I didn't have anxiety. Why? Because I knew that I was safe. I knew that everything was pretty secure. When you've gone through Hurricane Harvey and you survived it, and you see how you survived it, it builds on your ability to not have anxiety. Does that make sense? But if you have gone through previous events and you've not come out okay, then of course you're going to have anxiety about those situations. So what can you do? Well, I'm thinking even this morning, what am I going to do about one of my houses that had a lot of water in the yard? Like, what can I do to prevent that from occurring in the future, right? This home had never flooded before, thank heavens, but some of the neighbors took in an inch or 2 of water. So what can I do to prevent it from occurring in the future? Well, my friend, she moved. It took her the first and the second time, and she thought she would be okay. She lived there for years. And I think that's what gets everybody. Like, We've never flooded before. That's what people would say. We've never flooded before. Now we flooded 3 times in so many years. Well, do you want to live with that anxiety, or do you want to do something about it? I've known people to go into certain areas of Houston and they raise up their home. I have an aunt and uncle who lives in Louisiana, and after their home flooded twice, they raised it all the way up. I think it's over 10 feet up. Because they live by the water. And so when it floods, that water comes in. And they've lived there all my life. So it's a long time. And it's only been in the recent years that they've had more problems with flooding. So what I'm saying in life is that when we start to experience anxiety, we need to look at where the source is coming from. Is it real? Flooding is real. And then after we get through that situation, what can we do to not allow that situation to occur again? Are you anxious about taking a test if you're a younger person? Are you anxious about a job interview? Well, some of that stuff is going to be normal, right? But test anxiety, if you're taking tests over and over and over again and you're a young adult in college or something, then you get to the point that you don't experience that anxiety because you base it on your success of the past. Does that make sense? I know that I'm thinking about, do I need to go and dig a ditch for one of my properties? You might not have that option, but what options do you have? I was speaking with someone over the weekend, and they were so thankful that they live in an area that they put in retention ponds. They had already completed one and had already dug out the second one. It wasn't completed, but it was dug out. And so the water had 2 places to go. In my own subdivision, we have the creek, we have a lake, and we have an additional retention pond in my very small subdivision of only less than 40 homes. So we have somewhere for the water to go. So what can you do if you're in an anxious situation because your spouse can be argumentative and verbally abusive and physically abusive, and you're anxious all the time, you're walking on eggshells, right? What can you do? Well, you need to have an honest conversation with him. You need to maybe get into some therapy so somebody else can also be working with you guys to help with the situation. And then you might have to leave for a period of time or for a long time. Because you don't want to have that kind of anxiety in your life. We're talking about anxiety today, right? So if you're experiencing anxiety, if you need someone to help you look at it from a different angle, to help you come up with some solutions to overcome that anxiety, then give us a call. We have someone who has anxiety with driving, and we live in Houston. We have to get over the anxiety of driving. Where did that source come from? How can we handle that? Because we do live in Houston and we do have to drive, don't we? So if you guys need help with anything, we are just a phone call away. 409-449-5486. Alrighty, I'll see you guys on the other side. Bye-bye.